This week's AEW Dynamite is one of those that has a name. Winter is coming. Makes it seem like a bigger deal. But unlike years past, when we saw one year Sting made his debut in AEW, we also saw Kenny Omega win the world title at Winter is Coming. This doesn't look like it's going to be that kind of show. Hey, Chris Graham here, getting you ready for Winter is Coming 2022 on AEW. Now, there is some drama, if you want to say, MJF's first title defense. We've been looking forward to seeing MJF win the championship for a while. He finally did. This is his first defense, and it's against a guy that has gotten a little bit of a build in the last couple of weeks, Ricky Starks. But going into this, even with last week's great dueling promo that got you interested in this one, MJF's not losing his first title defense after the years-long build to him winning the title. And especially, no offense to Ricky Starks, but not to Ricky Starks. This match, pretty much the only drama in this one is that, how does the match get booked? How does it lay out and play out so that Ricky Starks remains elevated, maybe even gets a little more elevated in defeat with MJF still holding the belt? That remains to be seen, but that's the challenge here for the two combatants, MJF and Ricky Starks, and Tony Khan, who you got to give credit where it's due, and sometimes you got to give the blame where it's due. He doesn't have a lot of success booking nuanced finishes. Think back last week. He had FTR job clean to the Acclaimed when it would have made more sense to have some outside interference to protect both sides. And then, the FTR then going into a hastily booked pay-per-view match on the Ring of Honor final battle with the Briscoes. At least it would have, not taking some steam off them. But hey, now they've lost two straight. I guess that's what certain people who help book in the company want to see happen. But we'll see. How can AEW, keep the heat behind the recent rise of Ricky Starks without having Ricky Starks win the match? That's going to be the question. The rest of the card, kind of mundane. Jamie Hayter will defend her AEW women's title against Hikaru Shida. As with the men's match, nobody expects Hayter to lose this match to Shida. Shida's a former world champion. She's, I think, the longest reigning world champion still on AEW's tenure, the last 3+ years. But it should be a good match. It should be entertaining to watch. These are two good workers, especially Shida. She'll make it look good, but nobody thinks that Shida's going to win the title. Ruby Soho, Ty Mello could be interesting. There's some real life heat here. Ty Mello with that botched finisher, I guess that was her version of the GTS that she gave to Ruby Soho on the undercard, actually, though, at the 0 hour of All Out back in September. Broke Ruby Soho's nose, and it was brutal. I mean, it was an awful botch and an awful blow to her nose. Kept her out for a couple of months after surgery and having to recover from that. So you would think, you could play into the real life heat. I don't know that Tony Khan, I mean, he's playing it up a little bit, but the thing here, Soho needs to go over. She needs to get a better push. She came in with name recognition that relative mainstream fans would actually understand, and her booking has been inconsistent at best since she's gotten there. We have a promise that House of Black will be in action. They should be in action for the trios titles, as they're called. I still prefer to call them 6-man titles, but they're not, because the EVPs have booked themselves into a 7-match series for that. It's going to go on forever and ever. Amen. But we get that House of Black is going to be in action. It's an open challenge. There's been some rumbling about Eddie Kingston and Ortiz in these these three. So maybe they'll find a partner, and that kind of thing. House of Black needs to get some elevation at some point here, right? We also are told that Chris Jericho is going to be in action, and this one, I don't know that there's anybody logical that's going to show up, or that should show up, because Jericho just finished that reign, as the relatively short reign, as the Ring of Honor World Champion, losing the belt to Claudio Castagnoli at the Final Battle pay-per-view on Saturday. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out who Jericho's next dancing partner is. So that itself, we don't know. It's rare that we don't know something. We know that Jamie Hayter's going to win. We know MJF's going to win. We know that Ruby Soho should win. We know that. We presume that. House of Black will win. We don't know what's going to happen with Chris Jericho. So that might be the only mystery on this show. Um, the something we wish was a mystery is this best of 7 series continuing. It's match 4 between the EVPs, also known as the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and the Lucha Bros and Pac, known as Death Triangle. The Death Triangle leads the series 2-1. And I hate having to hate on the Elite. Just as a personal aside, my good friend Brian and I, who've been wrestling fans since we were in elementary school, and we've been fans together since then. That goes back almost 40 years. We went together to that first AEW Dynamite in DC because it's only a 3-hour drive from where we are based in Virginia. And I was so looking forward to seeing Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks in action. I remember they had a 6-man match on that show. And I remember, as the they were going to commercial break in the arena, turning to my friend Brian and saying, man, the next match is Kenny Omega and the Bucks. We get to see them in person for the first time. I was so excited. And now I feel like all I can do is trash them because of what happened with CM Punk. I hate that, but it's just where I feel. And looking back at the show, we got 5 matches scheduled here. That's not 2 hours. I mean, there's going to be some other stuff. Sorry for the sniffling there. Still dealing with a cold. We'll get a cameo appearance likely from the Acclaim just to keep them current. Maybe they'll come out and rap or something like that. That'll be fun. Do some scissoring. Maybe something to advance Samoa Joe Wardlow now that Samoa Joe has beaten Juice Robinson. Hey, Juice, thanks for coming. We're going to put you down on the first match that you wrestle for the company. Something else to remind us that Jon Moxley and Adam Page don't like each other is probably going to be there. And then we'll get a recap or two perhaps from Ring of Honor's final battle. I'm not sure, but that seems logical. The show in recent weeks has been struggling to get 850,000, much less a million. And million is still, 2/3 or less of a low number for Raw. I don't think this show gets us even to 1 million, unfortunately. They're just the advanced sales here. There's nothing still in terms of star power, quote unquote, CM Punk or someone of that level to get the casual fans to tune in. It's just not there. I'm sorry. I love all the people who are going to be on this show. But if you're the average wrestling fan, lapsed wrestling fan, WWE fan who wants to be intrigued, there's nothing here that's going to get you to turn the channel. So that's what it is. Hey, for more sports news, more news, go to AugustaFreePress.com. If you don't like what I have to say about something, if you want me to say something about something that's important to you, email me at Chris@AugustaFreePress.com.